Good morning, distinguished guests and fellow court administration professionals from court systems around the country and around the world, including those of you joining us online. As the president of the National Association for Court Management, I am honored to deliver this year's State of the Profession address. In just a second here, I have to give the clicker. Sorry about that. This year's theme is Leadership Opportunities and Challenges for Our Nation's Courts, Leading Leaders into the New Tomorrow. Each of you attending this conference, either in person or virtually, are not only investing in your own leadership development, but also building the capacity of your courts to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. So how does one set about to lead an organization? Well, first we establish a culture of trust through constant two-way communication. If we create an atmosphere that is void of fear, focused not on coercive power, but on relational power, we give ourselves an opportunity to create a culture that is based on welcoming all to participate. We must start with culture, building it one person at a time, making it crystal clear that each person's opinion, interests, needs are essential and add to the benefit of the development of the department, the court, the organization, and the communities at large. This effort is not for the faint-hearted. There will be individual setbacks along the way, particularly from those who desire to move at a different pace and may step aside. As we prepare to talk about some of these challenges or opportunities to improve the administration of justice, let us start at the root, or the beginning, with each one of you, and the leadership each one of you takes on every day. A critical issue that impacts all of us in the judiciary is the safety and security of our courts, and all who come through our doors to resolve their disputes, or simply to work here. Our system of justice relies upon courts that are open, accessible, and safe places for the fair and impartial resolution of disputes. However, in recent years, we have seen a deeply concerning rise in the threats of violence and disruptions at our courthouses across the country. From physical attacks on judges, attorneys, and court staff, to intimidation tactics aimed at jurors and witnesses, to protesters disrupting proceedings, these incidents undermine the critical principle of fair and impartial justice. The Federal Judicial Center that serves our federal courts reports there has been a dramatic rise in threats and inappropriate communications against federal judges and other court personnel. The same is true of our judges and court staff in our state courts. Make no mistake, preserving the sanctity of our courts is essential for upholding the rule of law and protecting our democratic system of government. When people fear for their safety going to court, it creates a chilling effect that deprives the people of their rights and erodes public's confidence in our justice system. That is why we must take concrete steps to bolster safety and security measures in our courthouses and courtrooms. This includes providing adequate security staffing, installing modern screening equipment, enhancing threat monitoring, and preparing ourselves appropriately. As court leaders, we must keep ourselves informed about the threats and challenges we face. To that end, NACM, along with our justice partners that you will see on the upcoming slide, have joined to urge the U.S. Congress to pass the Countering Threats and Attacks on Our Judges Act. This proposed legislation will create a state judicial threat intelligence and resource center, which will provide the resources to our state courts. But until that becomes a reality, we remain active and aware of the threats to our judges and staff and facilities. To that end, our colleagues at the National Center for State Courts updated their steps to best practices for court building security in 2022. And NACM will release a revised court security guide in just a few months. We should also remember that excessive security measures can create an intimidating atmosphere that potentially hinders access to justice. Technological solutions such as remote hearings for low-risk cases can help to maintain public access while mitigating security concerns. By prioritizing a multi-pronged approach that combines physical security with de-escalation tactics, mental health support, and community engagement, courthouses can become true bastions of justice, where both safety and the pursuit of a fair legal system are upheld. Now, while we typically think of a threat in the physical sense, there are other more abstract threats that we must consider. Artificial intelligence has woven itself into the fabric of our lives, shaping our experiences, often without notice. The streaming services we subscribe to now provide suggested content, and targeted ads follow our online searches. This is AI at work, constantly evolving and adapting to our preferences and needs. Now, the evolution of AI is remarkable and really perhaps a bit daunting. And for this old-timer, it's very daunting. AI has already found its way into court systems. Courts in Miami-Dade, Maricopa, Baltimore, and Chester County, Pennsylvania have introduced helpful chatbots such as Sandy and Clio to assist litigants. These bots are multilingual and answering general court queries and offering guidance to self-represented individuals 24 hours a day. But the integration of AI into the legal system doesn't stop there. The Los Angeles court system is testing an AI tool to redact personal information of minors from court records, while other court systems are attempting to use AI for automating docket entry and case processing. AI even produces accurate transcripts of audio recordings that judges can search, making their workdays more efficient. Despite AI's potential benefits, there are several ethical concerns such as bias, accuracy, privacy, and accountability that must be considered. Hallucinations and the use of black box technologies are on the forefront of those concerns. A hallucination is when incorrect or misleading results are generated by AI. Black box technologies referenced the rapidly increasing use of algorithmic AI models, such as facial recognition and risk assessments. These algorithms are unfathomably complex, and creators of the algorithms often do not disclose how they work. Experts in the areas of law and computer sciences contend that some of these algorithms are incomplete and may perpetuate bias. They conclude that transparency and explainability are essential to ensuring fair and unbiased AI decisions, thereby making the black box a glass box. For those who may be more skeptical about AI, keep in mind that human decision-making is also prone to error and bias. As court administration professionals, let's work towards a future where AI enhances our legal system, promoting efficiency, fairness, and transparency for all. The courts and court management itself has changed significantly since the formation of NACM nearly 40 years ago. At that time, we had not arrived at a common understanding of the actual work of court management. Many of the major scholarly works were new, and their focus was on determining what we should be doing as court managers and what were our roles and duties. Through the work of practitioners and scholars, and in large part, the work of all of us in this organization, those in this room and those joining us online or those that have come before us, we have been successful. We now have core competencies to guide each of us to develop our skills. We must renew our outlook to join and align our work with new and existing partners. We are a part of the system. And if the system fails, some of that is our failure. Now, none of us as individuals, either individual court professionals, a court itself, or even this association, NACM, we don't operate independently and with complete autonomy. Rather, we work interdependently with our justice partners on a micro and macro level. I noted last year upon accepting this role as president of NACM that we would place great emphasis on the relationships with our justice partners. In fact, we just heard from a critical justice partner just a few moments ago. We fully realize this is an ongoing process that will ebb and flow over time with each partner. These relationships are not marked as an end destination. Rather, they're marked with mileposts of achievements incrementally placed along the journey, all the while proclaiming, there is more road to travel. Change takes time and continuity, much longer than the typical tenure of the presiding judge. So when it comes to building relationships, partnerships, and trust, we as court leaders must take the lead. I suggest you come to know your leaders, those that are your judges, administrators, and elected officials even. And better yet, acquaint yourself with the future leaders that are in your jurisdiction. One justice partner that we do not often acquaint ourselves with is the citizen juror. Those jurisdictions who do pay close attention to the needs of these jurors generally exhibit a higher level of confidence and trust from the communities they serve. In 2023, a white paper from the Conference of State Court Administrators reported that over 14% of Americans are summoned and nearly 11 million people report for jury service each year. Jury service is as close as most people get to directly experiencing the courts, so their service is apt to be memorable and impactful. It is also a great opportunity for we as the courts to tell our story and influence public trust and confidence. Although jury management has been studied for decades and the best practices widely shared with courts nationwide, we still fall short to implement improvements we should have made a long time ago. In many courts, too many jurors are called for jury service out of fear of not having enough jurors. I admit I used to do that as well. The widely accepted practice of one day, one trial is still not used in many jurisdictions. We need to do better, and we need to reduce wait times and inconvenience. We have the knowledge and the modern jury software. We just need the leadership and the willpower to do it. Jurors are a vital stakeholder group that must be welcomed and valued by courts. It is essential we take into consideration all factors a citizen must weigh and address as they alter their lives to serve as a juror. Costco points out some emerging issues that deserve our attention. Many jurors, particularly in high-profile cases, are rightly concerned about their privacy and personal security. Additionally, similar to our judicial officers and court staff, the trauma some jurors experience by listening to and viewing violent or disturbing images and testimony will need our attention. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and hopefully soon in my home state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, court-funded counseling services may be made available to jurors who experience secondary or vicarious trauma from their service on a jury trial. Our courts are a bedrock of a just society. As we navigate the aforementioned issues like safety, security, improving the experience for our jurors, and collaborating with justice partners, having an engaged and empowered workforce is paramount. Anne Mulcahy, the former CEO of Xerox, famously stated, "Employees are a company's greatest asset." Let that sink in for a minute. Employees are a company's greatest asset. This is equally true in our judiciaries. That's why we must be intentional about creating inclusive work environments where people of all backgrounds and abilities feel valued and respected. In 2023, NACM released the DEI Guide to assist courts in their efforts to increase equity and foster inclusion. And many courts are taking action. They are updating their hiring and promotion practices, reviewing their internal workplace policies, incorporating diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI training, into their onboarding process. They also provide professional development opportunities to staff throughout the year. It's important that we continue this work so that our employees can be at their best. But inclusion extends beyond our workforce. It's a principle that we must apply to all our stakeholders. We must strive to ensure court customers, jurors, and justice partners feel welcome and understood. There will continue to be challenges ahead as we strive to make our courts more inclusive. Our shared purpose is clear: to ensure the fair and impartial administration of justice. By embracing the principles of inclusion and belonging, we can make certain that our court systems are ready to tackle the changes we face today and those we face tomorrow. Now, John Gordon, as you see his book here on the slide here, who wrote the book, The Energy Bus, noted successful organizations invest in the root as much or more than the fruit. The fruit is the result. The root is the process, the life source that eventually gives the tree or the plant the opportunity to bear fruit. The root is neither seen nor heard unless it is sick, but it is felt. We understand the importance, the culture, or the understanding of the importance of process, the culture or the root, and the crucial role it plays. Yet too often we do not celebrate its growth or heed its warnings when the root is not well. The culture in our workplace, those with whom we work for, those who report to us, and most of all, those who use our services, all make up and become a fabric of our court culture. Culture is not one thing. Culture is everything. Inclusion and belonging are critical elements of that workplace environment. They're not goals, they're not objectives, they're not destinations. Inclusion and belonging is a continual process. Naysayers and detractors will note it is too difficult to stay focused on creating and maintaining an inclusive culture. Critics will even politicize the terminology to make inclusion a concept to avoid, or that inclusion is actually exclusion. There are many excuses and strategies employed by those who are resistant to view and accept a perspective that may differ from theirs. Ultimately, we can control only our response and our commitment to extending ourselves to everyone, even those with whom we disagree. Ernie Friesen, the first court administrator of the United States Administrative Office of Courts and a revered founding father of this profession, is known for a creed that many court managers know quite well: the 8 purposes of courts. Sound familiar? The first purpose is to do individual justice in individual cases. And the second, and equally important, is the perception of doing individual justice in individual cases. For our staff, those who dedicate themselves to improving the lives of others through service, we are grateful. We are indeed blessed. We must make known to these people that their lives, their careers are important and that they have significant value, because they do. It is written that blessed are those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Last year, I challenged all of us to hold the rope for each other, as well as for ourselves, to assist those in good standing, and particularly for those in need and distress. We have done that, yet we can do so much more. We have moved the needle, but the needle has a lot of room to move. We can make a difference in the world, each one of us. We can and do change individual lives, the life of a family member, a coworker, a litigant, a victim, a juror, a child, one at a time. And that positive influence will make all the difference. Thank you all for doing your part.